Hello and welcome to the Becoming Your Highest Self podcast. I'm your host, Macy Renee, and we are going on a journey together, my friend. If you've been looking for a podcast geared towards your growth, self-awareness, navigating your brain's daily mind drama, and deep inner work to become your highest and best self, you are in the perfect place. Let's get started. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Becoming Your Highest Self podcast. I'm Macy Renee and I am so excited to have you back. I hope that you guys had a good weekend because although I am recording this on the weekend, it will be Monday by the time that you hear it. And I am so looking forward to fall weather. I have to say today has been a beautiful day, but it is so not sweater weather. It's very hot, like in the upper 80s, 90s. But there's a really nice breeze outside and the leaves are changing and falling. However, I can't wear my sweaters. And I actually just went to TJ Maxx yesterday. Oh my gosh, if you guys don't know me, I am obsessed with TJ Maxx and Home Goods. Like, I'm not the girl that goes to Target. I'm the girl that goes to TJ Maxx and Home Goods. I bought so many sweaters yesterday but I love them. They're the little like cover-up sweaters. I don't know what they're called, like kind of like a shawl, I guess. And I cannot wait to wear them, but I'm kind of thinking like, am I going to get to wear them? Because it is so hot and it's supposed to be fall. So maybe October, November. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that I'll be able to wear these cute outfits. They make me feel so cute. Do you ever have outfits like that? Anyways, I hope that you all are doing good, and I love doing this podcast. I also want to just tell you thank you for listening, and thank you for the feedback. One of my clients that I coach just sent me a message and said, I'm listening to episode 8, drinking a glass of wine. I love your podcast. And I so appreciate it. And then I had another sweet woman reach out to me actually back in August, and she wanted to be in my free Rewired group training on Facebook, which P.S. I am closing on October 1st, but it's not too late for you to get in there and listen to those 4 videos for free, because eventually those 4 videos will be turned into a program that you spend money on. So if you are a lady and you'd like to work on rewiring your mindset, that is free until October 1st in my Facebook group. But this sweet woman reached out to me to be in it back in August, and I just saw the message today, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And then she sent me such a nice message about how the podcasts are her favorite, and she was saying how inspiring they are and that I've been helping her through a rough time. And I had no idea who she was. I had never met her. I don't know her on a personal level, but if she listens to this episode, I just want to say I appreciated your message so much. And anybody that sends me messages about the podcast, it just makes me feel really good and motivates me to, keep going and keep giving content and just pouring my heart out for you guys. So today's episode was inspired by really my group coaching program. So I have a group coaching program. It's my signature program, and it's called Inner Mastery. And in this group coaching program that I run this year, I ran it 3 times. Next year, I'm probably only going to run it twice. But the group of women that are in this last round of Inner Mastery for 2019 are just incredible. And the breakthroughs that they are having are phenomenal. They are truly showing up ready for their transformation. Like, they are not beating around the bush. They are showing up. They're on every single call. They ask questions. They participate in everything. They communicate in the Facebook group all the time. They send me messages randomly, whether it's to receive coaching, because I offer that to them for the 12 weeks, or, just to tell me epiphanies that they've had. One of the clients in there was saying how her son has noticed changes in her, and how her and her husband had a civilized, basically, conversation where normally it probably would have turned into an argument. I had another client in there that she of course got scheduled to work every single Wednesday night, which is when our calls would be. And so I had this thought like, is this going to make it harder for her because she'll have to watch the replays, and the replays are totally fine, right? But you don't get to ask questions in real time, like when it's live. And sometimes that's where you have a lot of breakthroughs. So I kind of wondered, like, how is this going to impact her 12 weeks if her boss scheduled her for, every single Wednesday, and it was a brand new job. So if you can only imagine, when you get hired at a brand new job, you are like trying to do your best. You're trying to show up. You're trying to make your boss happy. You're really learning their personality, right? And what they approve of or what they don't. And she came to the call Wednesday and told us that she faced a fear, went to her boss, let him know that she was in a group coaching program that was super important to her, and that working on herself was super important to her, and was totally afraid to tell him because she was like, this is a new job, this is a new boss, like, I don't know what he's gonna think. And he was like, there's no need to even explain, like, if that's what you're doing, that's wonderful, and we'll just work around it. And so now she doesn't have to work a Wednesday. I thought that was amazing when she came to the call. I'm like, these women are showing up for themselves. So this week in the group, we talked about mastering our vision, and I go deep in depth about vision and how to do it and concepts about it. And it just sparked today's topic for me because at one point I said in the coaching call, I was like, you know what my number one pet peeve is, like, probably in the world? It's people who say, be realistic. Like, that is my biggest pet peeve. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. We're going to talk about what that means, right? To be realistic, and a little bit about this vision, because I am a huge visionary. I can dream the biggest dreams. If you follow me on Instagram, my handle is @MacyRenee_. I'll put it in the show notes too, so you can follow me on there if you don't already. But I'm a big dreamer, and I dream without limits. And I'm thankful that for most of my life, I have always been that way. Like, I've never questioned why I can't have something that somebody else has. I've never looked at somebody else and said, good for them, poor me. I've always been like, if they can have that, I can have that. And I'm thankful for that mentality, because what I've learned through coaching a lot of people is that they don't have that same mentality. It's very much like, good for them, poor me. I would like those things, or there's some things that I would desire, or good for them that they're able to do that, or whatever. And then they just take themselves out of the game because they feel like it's not realistic. And so I really want to address this, because this is a mindset issue. One of the things that I told my ladies in the group this week is that if you truly, like, okay, hear me out. If you have things that you desire and you haven't got there yet, it is nothing but a mindset issue. The only reason you don't have maybe the life you desire, or some of the things that you desire, or haven't had some of the experiences that you desire, is because of a mindset issue, right? And you can decide in any moment that you're going to go after those things, or you're going to do those things, or that you can have those things. And if there are thoughts that trigger you surrounding getting something that you want out of life that feels impossible right now, it is nothing more than something going awry in your mind, telling you that you don't get to have it. The thought of be realistic is a limiting belief. So let me kind of go on a hiatus and talk about limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs are basically beliefs that you have, right? That you believe to be very, very true, that limit what is possible for you. And the issue with this is, if you believe those limiting thoughts, that is where you'll stay. So let me see if this triggers you. Just ask, sink in with it, see if it triggers you. If I say you can make $15,000 a month, some people listening to that right now are going to be super triggered. Some people are going to be like, I already make that. And awesome. I'm like, I aspire to be you one day. But some people will hear that and they will literally feel like that's impossible. Like if they're a nurse, a doctor, a teacher, a lawyer, well, lawyers maybe not, I don't know, a dentist, I mean, really any career. Think of any career you could have, right? If I say, yeah, you can make $15,000 and your knee-jerk reaction is that's impossible or that's not realistic, that's a limiting belief that you have. Which means that if you believe that thought and you don't see the way, that is where your limit is. You will never surpass that limit until that limiting belief is shoved out of the way, right? And so it seems, it's like we want to support other people's dreams to an extent, but when it feels impossible for us, sometimes we think it's impossible for them too. And isn't it funny how we will tell our children, dream big. You can be anything that you want in the world. You can do whatever you want, right? And maybe they say, I want to be an astronaut. And we're like, oh, but you can't do that. Or they have such imagination, so they'll share their dreams. And then sometimes we don't believe that it's realistic, and so we'll shut it down. Or we'll be that parent that supports them, right? And then we'll be like, well, they'll figure it out when they're older that that's not possible. Why? Why would you believe that? Why? Truly, sink in with your own thought process and ask yourself why something that you desire is not realistic. And then go to work on that. Like if you need a coach to coach you through that, I guarantee you that whatever limit you have in your mind can be worked through with personal development, self-development, coaching work, truly. It's only impossible until it's done, right? Do you think people in the 1900s believed that one day we would have this device where we could talk to each other on the phone, video chat? It would also be an alarm and a camera that's sometimes better than a professional camera in some instances, or, that we would be able to be in touch with billions of people all over the world. If you would have told somebody that from the 1900s, they would truly think it's witchcraft. My husband and I talk about it all the time. We're like, yeah, they would totally think it's voodoo, that's a thing, and it seems impossible until it's done. So if you would have told somebody in the 1900s, one day we'll be able to communicate with anybody in the entire world and we will have friendships with them online. There'll be this thing called online and, we'll be able to talk to anybody from anywhere. They would be like, be realistic, right? And with that mentality, they're probably not the person that's on track to create the iPhone or the laptop or the internet or the light bulb or any of those things, because whenever it comes to dreaming and visualization, it's not about being realistic. That's the thing about visualization. We're not trying to be realistic. We are operating from the energy of everything is possible and anything is possible. So truly, if you have big dreams and you go to your family or a friend or your significant other and you tell them your goals and they say, be realistic, I seriously want you to run for the hills. I'm not saying don't be their friend anymore, but I'm telling you, run for the hills. Don't share your visions with that person. Seriously, I'm so serious, because if they truly believe that something is not realistic, their mindset is going to be poo-poo on you, right? And whatever you dream up is possible. Whatever vision that you have in your mind is 110% possible. So don't let people that do not have vision take away yours. And another thing is, if you feel like you can't visualize, maybe it's because you have past evidence in your brain that something you desired didn't ever work out. And so now you have this new belief that that doesn't work, or this and that doesn't work, or I tried that and it just didn't work out for me, right? That happens to a lot of people too. At one point they did have big dreams and then they didn't follow through with them, or something went wrong too many times, and instead of pushing forward and overcoming it and figuring out a way, they just automatically decided, I'm not going to do this anymore. This is not for me. This didn't work out. This wasn't meant for me, And so sometimes their mindset of failing can make them believe that someone else needs to be more realistic. And so how do we combat this? One, to understand that mentality is just a belief, and that if I say you can make $15,000 a month, it's truly possible, but you have to first believe it is possible before you will be able to navigate and figure out a way. And for people who are in your standard traditional jobs, a lot of times they are going to have that belief of that's not possible, that's not realistic, and it's totally not true. I witness this all the time because I surround myself with people who operate from a mindset perspective at a very, very high level. Like, I surround myself and spend majority of my time around people who operate in a place of anything is possible, and because they operate in that place, anything is possible. Like, I have seen some miracles go down. I have seen miracle upon like bizarre things, truly, because of who I surround myself by. Because these people do not play around with the idea of be realistic. And I have to say that every time someone says that to me, it lights a fire in my soul. I'm like, okay, we cannot hang out. Like, I love you, but seriously, you're not someone that I can tango with energy wise, and it's not because I don't love them, right? Because sometimes it's your family that says this, and sometimes your family says it because they're trying to protect you. Sometimes they're really not telling you to be realistic because they're trying to sabotage your dreams, but truly because they don't want you to feel pain. Like, they love you so much, they just don't want you to fall on your face and feel pain. But part of going after your dreams and your visualizations is that you do fall on your face a lot. That's the reality. You fall on your face a lot. So I have been keeping my head down and like working on so many things. I just hired 2 coaches with content that is going to help me be a better coach and produce more for you guys. I'm really, really excited about it. But I went to learn a new skill this week. I'm off Thursdays through Sundays from like my traditional career of being an occupational therapist. And so now I spend those 4 days diving into my business so that I can really, I'm very serious about growing it and expanding and providing more content for you guys and just getting my work out in the world. And so I was teaching myself this new skill and was so frustrated. Everything was going wrong. Oh my gosh. And I think last episode I talked about the universe and prove it and prove that what you said you're going to do is what you're going to do. And my God, if that's not the truth, I went to learn a new skill. I was like, I want to get my skills out there. I want to create programs for clients, like with things that they are struggling with. I know that I can do this. I know that I can help them. I need to figure out X, Y, and Z. And so I go to do that and everything goes wrong. And if you remember, I said, nothing has actually gone wrong. It's just it's just the universe seeing if I'm in integrity to follow through with what I said I was going to do. And I am going to do it. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to fail a million times. It doesn't mean that it doesn't come without struggles. It doesn't mean that I get entitled to getting it done easy. So that's the thing. It's like I have these big dreams and big goals, and what comes along with it is pain. And sometimes our family wants to protect us from that pain. And when they say those things of be realistic, you really have to just let it all pass and just say they don't see what I see because they're not me. They don't see what I see because they don't live in my brain. They don't see what I see because they don't have the same capacity to know what I'm capable of. I'm the one that's living in my body. I'm the one that's living in my mind. If I see it, that's all that matters. And you truly have to reel yourself back in, right? Reel yourself back in and say, this is possible for me. What is one of the things that I was telling the girls in my coaching program in Inner Mastery? Something about, when I go to invest in myself again, I don't have the same. I used to have such fears around telling my husband that I was going to spend money to invest in myself. And usually that came from being afraid that he was going to question the amount of money I was spending on a coach, right? And then I didn't feel fully confident in my ability to do the work. That was the big thing. Ooh, am I going to follow through with the work? Am I going to do everything my coach tells me to do? And so if my husband was to ask me, that's a lot of money, do you really think that you're going to go through with that? I would kind of hesitate because I'm like, oh, I hope I will. I wasn't fully confident in my commitment, I guess, to the work. And then finally, when I realized this is the work that is really important to me because it's helping me change my life, now I don't freak out about telling him what I'm spending and investing in myself again for a coach, because I trust myself. I trust myself to do the work. I trust myself to lean in. I trust that I am going to show up like my highest and greatest self. I trust me to do the work. And so I don't freak out now about the investments that I make in myself, because I know that I'm going to follow through and do the work. And I trust me with my vision. I don't need to ask permission for anybody to believe in my vision, and I think that that is also something that can take us out of the game when it comes to sharing our dreams or visions, is that sometimes we are asking permission in other people. We want them to believe in us too, and that's not always going to happen, because some people don't believe in themselves. So if they don't believe that it's possible for them, sometimes they're not going to believe that it's possible for you. So what I would say is that you have to just keep your eyes on the prize and visualize as big as you possibly can, because you don't want to set limits on what is possible. Whatever you believe is impossible is your limit. Let that sink in. Whatever you believe is impossible is your limit. So if I say you can make $5,000 a month and you're like, impossible, I've never done that in the past, never, then that's your limit, right? Then go to work to figure out how can you make $5,000 a month, right? If I say you could afford a trip to Italy and you're like, that's ridiculous, I make $7.25 an hour. I don't even know what minimum wage is right now. But if you're like, I make minimum wage, I've got 3 kids, that's impossible, that's a limit. And if you believe your limit, that is where you're going to be. So part of your work is to expand what you believe is possible, and really lean in and trust that you are going to be guided to the things that you need to make your vision a reality. And if you want to do deeper work on this, stay tuned. I also talk about this in a module in Inner Mastery, but that won't launch again until next year. But truly, get really clear on your vision. And if you don't have someone to share it with, send your vision to me. Email it to me, Instagram it to me, Facebook it to me, message it to me. I will never, ever, ever receive a dream of yours and think that it is unrealistic. I promise you that. I love, one of my best friends and we send each other messages all the time, randomly, sporadically. I will just text her and say, what is your dream handbag? If you could have any handbag you could ever want, what would it be? And I'll just ask her randomly for fun, just to get her mind going. What are you dreaming about? And, she might be like, oh, I don't even think I've really dreamed of a dream bag. I'll get back with you, And then I'll think on it for myself and I'll be like, I'm not super motivated by handbags, but if I did have a dream handbag that, and money was limitless and I didn't stress about bills or debt or any of that, what would I truly want? I'd probably buy a Chanel bag. So I'll celebrate with you guys whenever that happens. I just love the brand. I love Chanel. I don't own a bag, but, that's something I dream of. And then on Instagram, sometimes I'll play a game with, the people who follow me, and I'll say, what is your dream car? Send me your dream car. And, several people will see it and ignore it, whether it's that they don't have a dream car or maybe they don't believe that it's possible for them, right? But then so many people too will also message me their dream car. And whether it's a fancy Jeep or a fancy Toyota or a Rolls Royce or a Mercedes, I welcome all of it. Whatever you believe is possible and whatever you can see for yourself is possible. The work that we do in the world is to really meet ourselves and come home to ourselves, to where we access all of those visions that we have for our life. None of it is impossible. So get familiar with playing around. If you have Pinterest is such a fun way to play around with visualizing. What do you see that puts butterflies in your stomach? Or what do you see that resonates with oh my gosh, I have to have that in my house one day. That excites me. Whether you've already bought your dream house and you're going to be in it for the rest of your life. And there's no judgments on what you have as your dream. If you dream of owning a tiny house, perfect. If you dream of owning a $10 million mansion, perfect. If you want 4 houses, right? Perfect. going through Inner Mastery, one of the things I catch a lot of times is when people are saying like, I would really like to have this in my current home, and then I'd like to have a home either in Florida or in Montana, right? And I catch that and I'm like, why does it have to be a choice? Right? That's a limit. If you want it either in Florida or Montana, why can't you just have one in both? And usually, most of the time, it's because they didn't believe it was possible to have it in both. Their brain got in the way and said, well, then, because I'd need more money, or because then there'd be more house payments, or because, like, those are all limits, right? If you just think it would be awesome to have like a vacation home, I told one of my clients this, I'm like, what if you had your beach house in Florida and then a tiny home in the mountains? She was like, oh my God, that would be so fun. That's hilarious. And I'm like, yeah, why is there limits? So you just have to catch yourself anytime you're visualizing, what limits do I place on it? And allow yourself to stretch further. One of the mottos I actually came up with, I thought of it today actually, which is hilarious, but I'm going to totally tell myself this every day. And it was, if I can, why wouldn't I? Like, if I can have it or do it, why wouldn't I? If I desire it, why wouldn't I just do it? If I desire to have a podcast, why wouldn't I? If I desire to have that home, why wouldn't I? And anytime crap thoughts come up, that's my work. That's our work in the world, is to look at our limits. Ask yourself why you can't have it. Why are you not giving yourself permission or belief to have it? And that is your work. The very things that limit you in your life, that's your work. I know I say that almost every podcast now, but that's it. The things that you're running from, that's your work. The emotions you don't want to feel, that's your work. The negative thoughts that you're having, there's your work. The dreams you don't believe you can have, but you secretly want them, there's your work. I know, it sucks sometimes. Because it's hard work. It means you have to step up to the plate and do your thing. But you can do it. So do it. And if you are visualizing big things for your life and you go to someone and they poop on it, send it to me, because I'm never going to poop on your dream. In fact, I'll hold you accountable and say, how's it going working towards that XYZ? Because I see that for you and I want that for you. Anytime my clients share their dreams with me, I'm like, oh my God. If it's a dream car, I'm like, oh my God. When you get that, we have to go and celebrate. Like, you have to come pick me up and we have to go celebrate. We're going to go to a fancy dinner and drink champagne, and we dream it as if it's already happened. So if this podcast triggers you, really ask yourself why, because there's your work. If it excites you and you want to do more of it, reach out to me. There might be something coming before too long on this. So I just wanted to share that be realistic mentality. Blech. It's a yucky mentality. It's yucky. Yucky, yucky, yucky. Run away from anybody who says be realistic to you. Yuck. If you're saying that to your children, don't. They can create whatever. Like, it's just like I said, back in the 1900s, do you think they thought about iPhones? No. They probably didn't even think about having all the modern day farming equipment. They would probably think like, God, it would be so much easier if there was this thing, but I need to be realistic and go back out and do my work. Nobody got anywhere by being realistic. We're talking about what is possible, and that's the place we want to operate from. So share your dreams with me. Share your dreams with people who uplift you. Surround yourself by people who support your vision, your dreams, your goals, and up-leveling. Get around those people, because life is way too short to play small if there is more that you want in your life. And if you don't want more in your life, fine. If you can sit with that and feel good about it, that's fine. You don't have to want more. But most of the time we desire more. We want to grow. And a lot of times the reason we start to feel like depressed and icky and anxiety is because we really do, as a fundamental human need, desire that growth, and we're pressing it down. And we don't see a way out of it because we're so wrapped up in our mind drama and how we're feeling, and we don't always have the tools, right? We don't know the tools, I should say, to overcome it. And that's where coaching changed my life, because I truly didn't know before coaching that there was a way to overcome all of my limiting beliefs. I just didn't know. You don't know what you don't know. And so working with a coach changed everything. It's like I knew there was a fire in me. I knew I had vision. I've been dreaming my whole life, but to actually have steps A, B, and C of how to get there, I really did not know. And the answer, if you're looking for the answer and you're like, Macy, what is the answer to getting anything that I want out of life? Inner work, inner mastery, inner work. Do the inner work. That precedes everything else. Do the inner work. Master what is happening within, and you can have whatever you want out of life. I love you guys. I hope you like this episode. Please go leave me a written review if you are loving it. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you want to hear more of. You can message me on Facebook or Instagram and just let me know. What do you want to hear more of? What things do you need help with? What things would maybe light you on fire, right? To hear more about. I'm getting so much good feedback about this podcast, and I so appreciate it. So thank you guys, and I will see you next episode.